Hello, and welcome back to another Citizen Sleeper Let's Play. This is Northstar. Hope you folks are all doing well, taking care of each other and yourselves. Uh, kind to yourself. And luck is with you. I wasn't able to. Oh, did it autosave now? I was to say it was not autosaving for some reason, so I couldn't exit. But I did have to lay down for a while and do my best to rest, though I've just been pressured by this still running. Um, Maybe it has autosave now. Oh yeah. Um, Weird. Sorry, I struggle with long COVID, as you folks know. Got this cough. Have to deal with, if the disease itself wasn't nearly bad enough, have to deal with uh, abusive government agencies whose only interest is to protect the interests of the ruling class. And I don't say the word abusive lightly. I've met a really nasty individual at a local SSA office who was just way out of line. I filed a complaint about that person. Admittedly, haven't run into any other people at SSA who've been nearly as bad as that. Or generally, well, one person was helpful, one person was sometimes somewhat hostile, but that can happen. But the person who's way out of line was a standout for how bad they were. Real bad apple. But I don't mean to go too much in that. Just that I'm tired. At least not the second. I'm just tired, and I apologize if I lose focus as I go here. I'll try. You arrive, frantic and anxious, at the cordon. Peak is nowhere to be seen. Then you hear footsteps, hammering the metal stairway Helene's drone led you through before, the one that leads up to the observation deck. You leap up the stairs two at a time and make it to the top, momentarily blinded by the light pouring into the observation deck. Sleeper, Peak emerges from the light. She's just. I know she is trying to protect me, but it's okay. She chose. What about my choice, Sleeper? I'm not a child anymore. I can fight for myself. They turn away. It's true. There she is. Peak rushes to the wide window, leaning forward to catch a glimpse of the climbing briar's blue XPR livery against the black of the void. You spot the climbing briar, a glint of blue and white, and beside it the red glare of a tug's lights. The tug crew went with her, Peak smiles. I knew they'd keep their word. That'll help. Pete doesn't seem to hear you, but the idea of the crew backing us up makes you smile. Maybe this thing will work. You watch as the briar and its tug escort arc down towards the edge of the cordon, demarcated by the red lights of the perimeter system, where, I would remind you folks, refugees are starving, dying. Or will be soon. So far, so good. The briar will just look like another refugee ship being escorted into the cordon, at least at a glance. Pete grips the rail as Esh reaches the edge of the cordon. The invisible net of sensors splay between ships and drones. Now let's hope the blind spot triggered. You think back to the mess of systems you had to wade through to set up. The delicate contingencies you set up to trigger the sensor blackout at just the right moment. Without noise, without ceremony, the briar slides through the cordon. You wait the flickering of alarm lights, the swarming of drones, but nothing. Just another cycle. Just another ship. Esh is in. Both you and Peak let out the breath you've been holding, and laugh. How'd she do it? Peak smiles, shaking their head. We did it. Peak smiles wider. Yes, we did. They laugh. You feel a little shaky from the tension, but Peak's ease helps you settle. Imagine Esh, steely-eyed, in the pilot seat of the briar, searching for a place to dock. Maybe being stubborn has its advantages. It does, but it also has its costs. You okay? Me? Peak sighs. I think that took years off my life. But I've got to hand it to Esh. She was right. You and Peak turned back to the window. Looking, was she right just because it worked out, though? Looking for the briar amongst all those holes. Worked out because my character helped her. Probably. The calm fading as new worries settle in. You sprout the briar first this time, docking with the largest of flotilla ships, a vast converted tanker. Half of its protective plates removed. You think about the effort it must have taken to get that thing all the way here from the inner system. You watch the briar, unable to get any sense of progress from its pocket exterior. They'll be offloading everything now, Peak says, both assuring you and themselves that everything is going to plan. You think of all the supplies loaded into the briar, and how long the process of unloading them might take. The bay was packed, rammed with everything you could offer, and the thought of bringing all that to the flotilla makes you smile. You think of the reaction of the refugees, of the welcome they give Esh as the bearer of such gifts. You even imagine a smile from Esh as she is showered with thanks. You focus on that as you watch the briar, and continue the nervous wait for it to finish unloading. It's breaking off. Peak points at the briar and you see the puff of air and dust that accompany emergency depressurization. Esh must have ended things early, but why? Then you see them, the tugs closing on the briar. Havnaj must have spotted the ship. You and Peak are up against the window again, willing the briar a safe path out of the flotilla. Suddenly, the briar shifts in space. A blue blur between two holes. Peak whistles. Look at that, they smile at you. Looks like those upgrades we put together work. You watch as Esh cuts through the crowd flotilla, the tugs not daring to follow a dangerous path, and pulling away. It is hard to keep track of the briar, and suddenly both you and Peak are searching the black for a sign. Where has she gone? Then all of a sudden she is out, blue against the black, pulling away from the cordon on a wide arc back towards the station. Clean run. Let me remind you folks, she's not bringing the refugees out of the cordon, she's just giving them supplies so they don't die. Bloody administrator. Oh, we can't give them supplies to reinforce our liners. You're not letting them out. You're just making sure they don't die. Peak cheers and smiles at you. We did it. She's out. They beam uncontrollably at you, the tension released. You find yourself smiling too. Smiling at those two beautiful idiots. And their beautiful ship. Then Peak is hugging you, squeezing you with all the nervous energy they've been building. Thank you, Sleeper. We did this together. They step back, still smiling. With the skin of our teeth. We did something. Come. They rush out of the observation deck. Let's meet her. It's not going to be the end of the world that people get some supplies. Even if that administrator. You and Peak rush into the briar, finding yourselves in the now empty bay. The change is a reminder of what you achieved. And looking around, you feel all the more satisfied. A hiss sounds at the far end of the bay and Esh enters, looking exhausted. Peak rushes up to embrace her, but she sits down on the bay floor before they reach her. You did it, they sit beside her. Esh, you are incredible. She smiles a small smile at this, laying her head on Peak's shoulders. You suddenly feel like you're intruding, seeing the two of them like this, quiet and content. Sleeper, Peak calls. Come on over. You cross the bay and sit beside them on the hard metal floor. Esh, Peak asks, did you give the flotilla our chairs? They both burst out laughing at the ridiculousness of it all, the exhaustion and the worry and everything else. You laugh too. It is impossible not to, and after a while you all come to a stop. Peak wiping their eyes and Esh shaking her head. You would have loved to see it, Sleeper, Esh says quietly. The welcome I got. They came to greet the ship once they docked to offload the supplies. I told them I was coming, of course, as soon as I got inside the cordon. But there were so many. Children, Families. They were smiling at me, shaking my hand. Sol was there too, Peak. He's just as gruff as he sounds over comms. She smiles. They took it all, crate after crate, until the ship was emptied out. Ash looks away. But there were so many, and even with everything we managed to bring, they needed more. It made me promise I would try to come back. Ash. Peak shakes their head. You know we can't do that twice. Ash stands up. What are we supposed to do? Wait for them to lift the quarantine? Unfortunately, at this point, yes. There's no way to do that again. Put pressure to get it lifted sooner. She is angry again. That familiar tension rising in her voice. It was a one-off stunt. Pete tries to pull her back down. Sit, Ash. Rest. You have done enough for today. Don't peek. I know my limits. Ash hardens. Okay, well, seeing as they didn't catch you, perhaps they will lift it. They know the flotilla poses no danger now. If they can account for the extra load on the life support. Ash walks away toward the ladder that leads up into the upper part of the ship. I need to rest, Peak. She holds up a hand. Sleeper. Then she limps up the ladder, step by painful step. I'm afraid if you're expecting a change in Ash's demeanor, Peak smiles at you. It's okay. Let her rest. Pete nods. I think I need some rest too. They put a hand on your shoulder and get up from the floor. We couldn't have done this without you, Sleeper. And I know those in the flotilla thank you too. Would thank you too. Thank you. Pete limps up the ladder too, leaving you alone on the metal floor of the bay. Your thoughts drift to all those people in the flotilla, sleeping and sitting on metal floors like this. Children. Families. Playing in cargo bays and repurposed fuel tanks. Kids, yes, but I would remind people there's a tendency to almost exploit the image of children as if they're the only group that suffers. I'm not saying there should be sympathy for them. I'm saying we should have a broader range of sympathy for adults, too. It's not just children that deserve empathy. It's almost like guilt people have. It seems like they think adults are somehow less worthy. Assume they've done bad things as they've grown up, and maybe some people have. But the default should be more empathy in this, and a wider reaching empathy. You know their story isn't over yet, and you look forward to meeting them. The quarantine will lift. You feel more sure of this fact every moment, even though you aren't sure why. You lie back in the middle and stare at the ceiling. What was it Fang told you? Erwin said. The eye opens for us all. Maybe the old guy was right. Yeah, really little kids, they don't have much of a moral compass. So there's the whole Piaget's stages of development and such, but basically, really little kids are inherently immoral because they haven't developed an adult system of morality yet. Selfish, basically. Some people never develop as they grow older, and others do. But the fact that we have more empathy for little kids who are an innocent kind of selfishness than adults who may have been fighting and struggling to help others, I don't know. I'm not saying we shouldn't empathize with kids. I'm saying we should empathize with more than that. Anyways. Erwin, anyways, sounded like a bit of a hero in his time. I don't know if he did enough to set the eye on the right path. Sounds like Hafnage has lost its way some. A home for the lost. You like the idea of that. If only they would live up to the ideal. Maybe in time you can help make that a reality. But something is bothering you. A sliver of a thought like a splinter you can't extract. Why are thousands of refugees coming here now? People don't abandon their homes for nothing. It's true. What wave is rushing through the system? And when will it reach the eye? It may not. This idea that inherently it would. And if it does, setting an example of empathy and sympathy, it's probably Or could get others to help members of the Eye if they themselves end up refugees. You shout on the cold metal floor and get up. Something is coming. You can feel it. This isn't over. Is it coming now? The first part of the Photella story is complete. Episode Flux. Episode Refuge begins when the cycle clock below is filled. Good luck. Gathering Storm. What's done is done. Now all you can do is wait to see what happens next. 3 cycles. It's not long. A little time to tend to the fungus. What are we? The aviary. It's time to harvest. A couple 6s into this. Neglecting this, and this is part of character's life support, if you will. So I can't too much. 4, and then I can. I have enough club head for more stabilizer. Of course, I need. There we go. 4s. Collect spores. Don't need to do more, but should probably risk it. Replant. Fungal beds. The old growth of the aviaries create a rich medium into which you can plant the spores in the groves. They'll grow well here. Yep. Get that going. Maybe that the wastes are actually a more efficient use of energy. I'm just trying to stay at top condition anyhow. Head back to the Haifa dorm, I think, this time. And end the cycle. Alright, with that going. No other things are taking down I know of. Time to gather some scrap. Oh yeah, there is stuff at the docks. Should visit that. See if there was a freighter. Oh well. Got some scrap. Can lose condition from this, yeah. You really can only put 5s and 6s in. Safely. With the highest rolls, it's more efficient, but. Alright, should have bought more stabilizer back when I could just buy it. Still 2025 cryo. Caster, the exchange, scrap freighter. And the merchant ship that I didn't actually buy anything from. Cool. Looking around for new nodes that might have popped around. Don't see any. What? Hold on to various resources. Why not? For now. This can cost 2 energy, darn it. Which would cost condition effectively. most efficient thing is to gather data, I guess. I'm gathering Yadigan data in a bit. Got 2. Huh. And that's this Hobnosh. Oh well. Got 2 again. Right. Stay here with the strays. I think it's time to feed the stray. If you buy crackers and put them out, the stray always comes. Stray crunches up the crackers you watch. Sometimes they'll let their strike them. Sometimes not. And cycle. Flickering. Considering the economics of either hunting for scrap or maybe I should have use some stabilizer or scrap instead of that. Two days on the mushroom harvest. 1 cycle on the cordon, so yeah, get a meal emphas stall. 2010. Let's see here a lot of this nonsense in our own world. Kinda really got going. That was when the Tea Party pricks had their upsurge. If you guys remember the midterms in the first Obama's terms, and then they started pushing America so far to the so-called alt-right, i.e. towards fascism, and it's just been a downhill slide ever since. With the world going crazy around us, it's not just the US where stuff has been a mess. The far right's been gaining ground all over the globe since about then. Some of the groundwork for it was laid earlier, unfortunately. But people like Steve Bannon creating his propaganda network before 2010, I think it was, actually. Forage for some scrap. That might actually be worth it for... Put a 4 into this. 50% chance of a neutral outcome. Which loses 2 energy, but still gets me some scrap. Oh, and I have at least 2 energy. That wasn't worth that. Roll the 2s. Oh, there's a 5. And 1 I can use on data extraction. Let's do the stabilizer though. The Hypodorm, and I'm also going to need to extract some more stabilizer here with the club heads. We could chat with you about recent events, so I should prepare as a stabilizer. We always enjoy these visits. I don't think there's any other use of the club heads, so a couple stabilizer. Simplify the interface, number of item types down there. I hope the occasional talks about politics don't bother you folks. Political things. Try not to make it always explicitly ideological, but more current events at times. But there's a saying, just because you don't take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you. That was an ancient Greek who said that. Just to say, just because you ignore these things doesn't mean they won't come around and hurt you and people close to you. So you gotta care. Let's help them this out. Some more business helps me out too. Trade, which trade is not capitalism. Market's not capitalism. There's this whole thing called market socialism. If some of you believe strongly in markets, but you're at least a reasonably open-minded person, I consider looking into market socialism, which combines free markets with socialism. It's basically workers' cooperatives run most things with relatively little government interference. It's a different form of socialism, but if you I might not agree with you on everything about it, having gone through a phase where I bought into it myself before realizing more government is needed than that. But even if you never agree with everything, I believe, certainly a more humane system than we have now. And it still has markets, so capitalism is not markets. What capitalism is the relationship between ownership and the very rich. Stocks, bonds, investment banking, all that kind of stuff. That's the defining features of capitalism. Not markets. Markets exist in capitalism, but markets are not exclusive to capitalism. And indeed, you have interventionist capitalism, things that are recognizably capitalist and don't have free markets, too. People say, oh, they should not view capitalism as not the best, but anyways, enough. Alright. And the cycle here, now if some event happens, day rolls around. Oof, I didn't even get off I was gonna save here. In the video with the little, I didn't even get out of bed before. It hits you like a wave. A wet-edged breaker rolling inland with the force of the entire ocean. The impact is a screaming brightness, blanking out everything. Behind it is silence. You float in silence, suspended. No, you do not float. You are the silence. It has filled you up. It has emptied you out. You cease to exist. Time passes, though you do not feel it passing. Then something flickers in the silence. And then something moves. That something is you. You open your eyes to a metal ceiling of flickering lights. You feel the floor around you, patting it with shaking hands. You assemble an image of yourself, lying your back in a corridor. You shake off the silence and sit up. What was that? You glance around looking for a sign of some change. Damage on the walls, shouts in the distance, fire and fear. Nothing has changed. The silence sits around you like fog. You try to think, furrowing your brow. How do you think again? It doesn't seem so easy anymore. You force the pathways to let the databanks to grant access. You feel like a fraction drive, starting up after a long shutdown and cold vacuum. In the wave was noise. Just as the sound produced by a wave breaking across a pebble beach represents trillions of impacts, or as a single roar, so this sound was the result of trillions of electrons flickering in place, heard as a single impossible scream. A memory image comes to you, one from the moments before the wave hit. You squint as you imagine it, trying to cohere its blurry form. A broken skeletal ring, the eye, and then a vast arc approaching it, a razor-edged white curve. The wave. The wave approaches the eye. The eye spins, turning each part to face that vast white edge. You recognize their skeletal data cloud forms. The bright market, the low end, the greenway, the wastes. Then, the wave hits just as the flotilla, the cordon, turns to face it. And after that, everything is silence. You open your eyes again. That is the epicenter. But of what? Right. Peek. Go speak to her. We'll go speak to her. Next video. As a general rule, it's good to fill up energy. I can sometimes, both in real life, take some long COVID, and in the game, forget to eat. So, boom. I manage, but on the edge of survival here. If the government really wants to screw me, if they want to take away my student loan repayment plans, I'm making $0 payments because of some asshole judge in Missouri extended the challenge to the safe plan to include other plans, including the one I was on, and wants to deny me the full disability, so I can't get the disability forgiveness. If they want to deny me financial resources, that tenuous existence may become possible. And my only option may be to flee, disappear, try and find somewhere in the world that's safer, that won't attack me, victimize me this way. The U.S. is not a safe place for anyone anymore. Anyways, and that's especially hard to leave when you're disabled. No country would want to take someone who can't support themselves. So I hope this channel makes some income. It's the only thing I can present as a way to bring in some money, so maybe some countries will take me as a refugee. What's happening? And realize the U.S. is becoming dystopian, so victimizing people who relied on the system. Anyways, I wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Till next time, this is Northstar. Adieu, and best luck to you all. Till next time.